that time again, boys and girls
Yeah,
and humans of all ages.
yeah, humans.
It's Spooktavision time with Kate.
Yeah. It's Kate.
We got Ghosty. He's gonna hang out with us and stuff.
Yeah.
So
He's hanging out.
he might hang out. Well, yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
All right.
He's hanging out. He's listening to Sid's.
Yeah. You got your lantern in the shot.
Yeah, I got my lantern here, Sid. I'm spooking. Yeah. Because it's going to bring you here with the story, Sid.
Yeah. Now, if I get scared and I grab you, don't freak out.
Oh, we can't have that. Yeah. So, Sibs, here we're going to talk about sometimes Sibs.
Turn the air conditioner off real quick.
Oh, I forgot.
Go ahead.
Oh. Sometimes Sibs, when you do wrong to somebody, like I said, from the things that I've seen over the years, it's a good thing to do the right thing, because sometimes even when people die, that doesn't mean their body is dead, but that doesn't mean that they won't strike out at you, because they will. Especially if you've been really mean to them for no reason. And today's two stories are about when something like that happened. And the first story that I'm going to tell you is called It Grabbed Me. Okay.
I've heard this, and it is freaky.
Now, Subs, like I've told people before, okay, be careful what you do when you're in a relationship with somebody. And when somebody shows you what they're really like, believe it. Don't try to think, oh, that's not how they really are. Oh, something must be wrong. No, that's how they really are. And I'm going to give you two examples. There was a very nice man. He was an older gentleman, very nice man. But he had got hooked up with this woman who didn't mean him any good. And his family tried to tell him, but he thought he was in love, so he wouldn't listen. And the only reason she was there was to be taken care of. She brought nothing but ass to the relationship. That's all.
Damn that ass.
Yeah. I mean, Subs, if that's all somebody's bringing, you don't need that person. Period. Because nobody is just supposed to. One person cannot continuously give, and the other person continuously takes. Because sooner or later, the one that's giving is going to get tired of that. So he was very nice. We'll call him Mr. Martin. And he had heart problems. Okay. And this was at the hospital. This was not in the nursing home. And he was up in the ICU. He had had heart surgery. And he had been with this woman, I'll say, I believe it was maybe a couple of years. It wasn't long. And when you go into the hospital, okay, your valuables are locked up. You could either keep them in your purse or wallet or whatever and put it in your room, but usually you can have it put away in a safe or something, because we do have lock boxes and stuff like that where we can put your valuables so they don't walk away. So she didn't come all the time. His family came, but she didn't come all the time. She didn't even call. And the times that she did come, we didn't know who she was. That's how often she didn't come. So after a while, his brother started keeping us up to date on what was going on. And so the brother told us to take his checkbook and wallet and everything and put them away, because he wouldn't let the family take it, but he would let us do it. So we're like, okay, well, fine, because if he wants it, we could give it to him. It's not a problem. If he wants to, buy something or whatever. But he wasn't going to be doing that for a while. So anyway, he got better. Well, he was getting stronger. So here comes this creature in there. And when she found out that he was getting better, she came over not to visit with him, but she wanted checks. She wanted him to sign checks for her to have money so she could go live it up while he was in the hospital. She didn't come and visit him. She only wanted his money. So we were all looking at her, you know, because women like that make women look bad. I mean, they make us look horrible. And she didn't care. You know, she didn't care at all. You know, and he was, you know, once he was getting a little bit better, this was like 5 days after his surgery. You know, in those days, you stay in the hospital for a while after heart surgery, especially when you're older because they want to monitor you. So he was hooked up, you know, to a lot of machines. And we could tell what was going on because we had monitors too. And whenever she would go in there, you know, his blood pressure would go up, his heart would beat faster. She was upsetting him. So, you know, which well, at the time we didn't know what she wanted. You know, and she would go out, you know, talking about she don't know why she's wasting her time with him and blah 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 yabba dabba do. And we, you know, we stopped her like, wait a minute, you know, this is not a hotel. You know, you can't come up here with this. If you keep on doing it, you know, we're gonna have security stop you downstairs and tell you you're not allowed back up here. Oh, you can't do, you'd be amazed what we can do. Yeah, we can. Because we can't have him getting upset. So we told the family, and the family was like, you know, we're going to, you know, have a talk. Because we can't bar you, you know, because the patient can override us. So you can try to do your best intentions for people, Subs, but you can't save people from themselves. Well, anyway, so one day, you know, me and my friend Gabby, you know, we went in there, you know, we were talking and we were getting them cleaned up, everything, and changing his fluids and all. And he started telling us about her. And he was saying that, you know, she was a sweet girl and everything, but she was just, you know, so distraught that he was in the hospital. And me and Gabrielle just looked at each other. You know, and then we looked at him, and he saw the way we were looking at each other, and he was like, universal phrase, oh, well, she's not always like that. And so I just stopped him right then and there. And I said, Mr. Martin, she's always like that. You don't become something. You always were something. I said, we're women. Women know each other. We can look at each other and tell you're no good. Now, men, we can be so manipulative that men really don't know. But we know because we can look at you and say, oh, Lord. You know, and that's what we did as far as she did. We told him, she don't mean you no good, period. Because if she did, you're sickly, you're in the hospital, she would be here now. She would be spending the night here. Because that's what a lot of the people were doing. You know, girlfriends, you know, sisters, mothers, wives, they would spend the night there. Because if anything happened, they wanted to be there. She didn't want to be bothered. So he was telling us how she was getting upset because, well, he didn't have any money to give her. And I'm like, well, if she's with you for that reason, that's the wrong reason. You know, you need to be with somebody who's going to be with you for you. Because if you can't depend on her, what good is she to you? I mean, what's the point of having a trophy if the trophy's useless to you? You can put a trophy up on a wall, but a trophy can't jump down and help you. So,
knock you upside the head.
well, yeah. But, you know, like I said, we told him, you know, that we had talked to her and told her, you know, if she keeps getting him upset, that we would have to stop her from coming up. We would have to talk to the family. Of course, he didn't want us talking to the family because the family already told him he was being a fool. You know, because that's what they were telling us. You know, that he was being a fool for her, and that she was only coming around to get him to sign checks. Okay, he didn't want to believe that until it was too late. And she came again. I mean, but she wouldn't come every day. She would come like once a week, something like that, you know, to see if he had a check. Just, you know, one of his personal checks from the bank. And if he had signed anything over to her, and if he hadn't, she turned around and left. Now, why are you with somebody like that? Well, anyway, time went on, and he got worse and worse because he was worrying himself to death over somebody who didn't care about him. So eventually, he died. And we went in, we called the family and went in and prepared him, and everything. Turned the machines off, took out his IVs and took him off oxygen and, cleaned him up. We, gave him a bath and changed his gown, changed the bed, pulled the sheet up to his chest, made him presentable for his family because we knew they were going to come. Because they were there every day. She wasn't there, but the family was. So, when the family did come, we gave them, his valuables and everything, and they called the funeral parlor, and so they said that they were going to go and take, everything home and, get ready to go to the funeral parlor to make the arrangements and everything. So we were like, okay, and we told them how sorry we were, this, that, and the other. I had completely forgot about her. Now, he had been dead about, I'll say about half an hour. He was, dead. So here she comes. So we're thinking, oh, finally now you're going to come and, pay respects with her. That's not why she came. She came to chastise him for dying without giving her something. Because apparently, from what the family said, he never chased anything over. Well, he didn't know her like that. So everything was still in his name, which of course the family was going to take over, because, however he made out his will or whatever, she wasn't in it. So he wasn't as big a fool as we thought, or as she thought. So anyway, like I said, he had been gone about half an hour, so we were still waiting for the funeral home to come. I think it was Sugar. They were supposed to come. And so we let her go in because, she couldn't do nothing else to him, because he was dead. So we didn't care as long, but we were watching, to make sure that she didn't hit him or anything like that. So she went in there, and I'm walking past the room, and I could hear her talking about how he should have did this and how he should have did that, and he should have put her name on it. Now what is she going to do? His family was telling her she had to get her ass out of his house. And if she wasn't out by the end of the week, they were going to have her thrown out because her name wasn't on anything. No bills, nothing. So I went down the hall because I had to do a flush. So I had to go down there and do that, And then all of a sudden, you heard this blood-curdling scream coming out of Mr. Martin's room. And it wasn't, it was her. So everybody's like, what in the world is that? Because, when I had went down the hall, the door was open. When I went back up to see what was going on, the door was shut. It's like, well, why is the door shut? So when we pushed the door open, he had grabbed her. He was dead. But I guess he finally saw what he didn't want to see. So he had a hold of her wrist like this. And I ran in, George ran in, and then Gabrielle came in. Now we're all standing there looking at this. I mean, he had like a death grip on her. And she's trying to, get loose, but she couldn't get loose. I mean, she was like trying to pull him off the bed, which is why, we had to stop her. Because she'd have pulled him on the ground, trying to get loose. He wouldn't let go of her, and he was dead. So we're all standing there, George is trying to get her hand, get his grip off of her. And she's screaming and hollering and acting like a fool. You can't have that in ICU. Everybody's getting upset. Everybody's, security came because they didn't know what was going on. And here come the funeral parlor. So I said, Mr. Martin, you have to let her go. I said, you're going to leave anyway because the funeral people are here. And just like that, he let her go. And she flew back against the wall, sunk to the floor, was screaming and, carrying on. And she just got up, and ran out. And we just, propped him back up on the bed, and fixed him and everything. And here come the funeral parlor to get him. And we just left. We walked out and left him to, put him in a bag and take him downstairs. Yeah. She's over there, but nobody bothered to ask her what happened. Well, we saw what happened. But no, we never went over there to give her any comfort or none. We just like, well, serves you right. We don't know what she said or what she did or anything like that, but whatever went on, he couldn't take anymore. He snatched the shit out of her. She went on down the elevator, never saw her again. And they went and took him away. And the family came. The family came, to thank us for taking good care of them, and this and that. And we told the family what happened. Well, the brother, we told him what happened. He was like, well, he wasn't as dumb as I thought he was. He said, well, mate, he won't have to worry anymore. He said, but they had warned him about her, but he wouldn't listen to them. And I was like, well, unless somebody has to get fed up, on their own. As we all know, the more you try to tell somebody to stay away from somebody, the more they're going to cling to them because they don't want to be told anything. They don't want to feel that they're wrong, even though they know they are.
I'm clinging to you.
Oh, are you clinging?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. His brother said he tried to tell him about her, but he just wouldn't listen because he didn't want to be alone. I mean, why do you want to be with somebody you know doesn't care about you? In your heart, everybody knows that because you get that feeling in the pit of your stomach. This isn't right. There's something wrong here. Everybody gets it, but most people will ignore it because they'll try to force the issue, even though they know it's not going to work. You can't buy love. Either somebody cares about you or they don't. If they don't, leave them alone. Because I used to tell one of my girlfriends all the time, what's he got to do to you for you to leave him alone? Because he's done everything. Not that I wasn't such a good judge of character, because look at the asshole I married. The first one, not Richard.
Wow.
No.
Oh my.
Yeah, no, not Richard. I mean, this is way back in the day.
I'm just going to cuddle with Ghost.
Oh, okay. No, back in the day, with my first husband, because my friends, they all know what happened, And I was married to that fool, but she wasn't married to the fool she was with, and she gave that man 20 years of her life, and he did everything you could possibly imagine that we know of. She wouldn't leave him alone until she finally got fed up. 20 years later. 20. I only gave that damn fool 2.5 years of my life. Well, anyway. Yep. That body grabbed her. Because it had been dead for half an hour. Yep. Yep. So, that's one story of the dead.
Oh my.
But there's another story. And it's about, I have two stories about two entirely different rooms. And one of the rooms, they had to actually brick that room up and not let anybody in there. But we'll talk about that one the weekend of, or maybe I could do it Halloween. It depends on Richard's schedule. Maybe I could do some on Halloween. It depends. When he has to get up in the morning or whatever. But long time ago, this was in a nursing home. Long time ago, back in the 90s. And there was a floor that, it was strange. There was a room on the 6th floor. And nobody went in there except to clean. And then you left. Because there was something in that room that didn't want you in there. Everybody knew about it. But one day, somebody in their ivory tower decided that they wanted to find out about this rumor. Now, subs, I don't know much about South Carolina because I've only been here not even a year. Okay, so I can't tell Richard about South Carolina because I don't know shit about it. I'm still finding out things. Now, I could tell him about Pittsburgh because I lived there all my life, but I can't tell him anything about South Carolina. He has to tell me. I can't tell him. So I said that to say this. Now, everybody knew about the sixth floor. Everybody knew about the room on the sixth floor. It stayed empty for a reason. And when you walked in that room, you knew something was in there. The person that used to be in there was mean. And they didn't have visitors because nobody could put up one. And they considered that to be their room. You know, you came in, usually if the person came in, because they very rarely left the room, even though they could have, you know, they could have went out to the dining area, you know, to be with the other, you know, patients and talk to them, and they didn't want to do that. They wanted to be by themselves. So whatever, you know, we only went in there for the bare minimum. You know, we went in there when they had to get a shower, change the bed every day, you know, things like that. When they rang the bell, we would go see what they want, help them to the bathroom, things like that. Other than that, nobody really went in there because they were just a miserable ass person. So how you are in life, subs, that's how you are in death. And people, you know, will see things and act like they didn't see it. You could be in a room full of people. Room full of people see something. One person will say, I didn't see anything. You a damn lie. Yes, you did. But whatever. I mean, whatever. Whatever makes you comfortable, but that doesn't change the facts. So, the first time they tried to put people in that room, there were problems in that room. So, I mean, people would have terrible nightmares in that room. So, after a while, they stopped putting people in that room. You know, they would put them around there. So, anyway, one of these higher ups who didn't know jack shit, who had never taken care of anybody, who I'd never seen before. And I've been working at this nursing home, it was about 5 years. I had never seen this person before. Never heard of them. But they're going to go and tell everybody how they need to be booking that room. They need to start admitting people in that room. And the nurses and the staff tried to tell them, you can't put anybody in there because there's something in that room. And it's attacking the patients. We told them the story. Oh, of course, oh, that's ridiculous. That's stupid. I don't want. Yeah, okay. All right. So we just didn't listen to them. Okay, because we knew it was going to happen. So this idiot came back from his ivory tower. Okay, so he didn't believe it. So he's like, well, I don't think there's anything in there. I think that's just a bunch of superstition by a bunch of old people. And how do you know that's not their medication talking? He wasn't young. Well, it's their medication. That's not their. So everybody that goes in their room, it's their medication. Really? That's not their medication. No, it wasn't. So how this person died was there was a shower in that room. And they were warned several times not to go in that shower by themselves. But you know how some old people are. They're cantankerous. They don't listen. And he went in the shower and fell and hit his head. You know, and had a skull fracture. And he died not long after that. Okay. He didn't listen. Okay, well, whatever. So, and we're telling him all this. You know, because the people we put in it would say that they would hear the shower. You go in there, the shower's on. Shower shouldn't be on in the middle of the night. So, and like I said, everything happens usually around 3 in the morning when stuff starts happening, any kind of paranormal, supernatural stuff, it always happens. It starts around 3 in the morning for whatever reason. You know, everybody always thought that midnight was the witching hour. It's not. It's between 3 and 4 that stuff starts to happen. Well, anyway, so this moron went into that room. We told him not to. You know, but he's going to prove everybody wrong. Okay? So he's going to go and spend the night in that room. Even though we told him that's not a good idea. But he's Mr. Know-It-All. You remember Bullwinkle and Rocky Subs? And Bullwinkle had this segment called Mr. Know-It-All? And he didn't know shit. He didn't always get blown up or beat up or something because he didn't know what he was talking about. Well, yeah, that was this guy.
Rocky.
Yeah, So he was going to prove everybody wrong because he didn't want to hear no more of this nonsense. So we're all looking at each other like, okay. Yeah, so we made up the bed for him and everything because he was going to prove his point. Now, Subs, I'm going to say this because it has relevance later on in the story. You couldn't lock the door from the outside. You could lock it from the inside, not the outside. Well, anyway. So anyway, this fool went in there after everybody told him not to. And he was in there. Everything was okay for a little while. Then things started going wrong in the room.
About what time?
Oh, this was, it was after 12, I know that. It wasn't quite 3 o'clock yet, but stuff started going wrong in that room.
A little early.
Because he didn't listen. You know, we were telling him not to go in there. So anyway, like I said, he gonna prove everybody wrong by going in there, spending the night like an idiot. So he would shut the door, dumbest thing in the world to do. And like I said, he wouldn't listen to anything. So he's in the room, sitting in the chair, and he hears the shower come on. So he go in there, you know, shut the shower off. Go back to doing whatever he was doing. So in those days, Subs, the rooms had a little window. And this was a long time ago. Now they have more windows and stuff, but back then,
It's like 12 inch by 12 inch.
yeah, it was windows. I mean, now usually they'll keep the doors open. Very rarely do they shut the doors. You know, they usually leave them open, unless of course it's it's nighttime and the light's actually coming in and disturbing the patient. You know, then they'll pull their curtain. You know, but they'll crack the door just in case something goes wrong or whatever. So anyway, he's in there in the shower. Kept coming on. Now we knew something's going to happen because the shower coming on was a warning. Get out of the room. So they're like, well, should we go down there and tell him? I said, I'm not telling him anything because we already told him not to go in there. But Renee went down there and told him. You know, she knocked on the door. The fool had locked the door. And she knocked on the door, and he came and opened the door. She said, you need to leave the room. Because that shower coming on, that's a warning to leave the room. You know, you need to come out of that room and go home. That's what you need to do. But of course, he didn't listen. He didn't want to do it. So we're like, okay.
You're Rocky, you know everything.
Yeah. So we didn't bother him. Okay, here come 3 o'clock. He's still in that room. So this time, when the shower came on, he went in there to turn the shower off and saw the body sprawled all over, blood all over the shower. Now, he comes running out. He's trying to open the door. To get out, the door wouldn't open. Now, like I said, you couldn't lock it from the outside. You can only lock it from the inside. couldn't get out. And he's screaming that it's coming for me. Whatever it was, he could see it trying to get out of the shower to get him. Now, we didn't see any of this because we're on the outside. We're trying to figure out how to get the door open. You know, we had to call maintenance. And this is 3 o'clock in the morning. I think at that time it was like quarter after 3, 3:30, something like that. I know it's between 3 and 3:30. I remember that. And he was screaming, hurry up, it's coming. Now, what are we supposed to do? After we told you not to go in there. So they did, you know, they had to kick the door down. And they turned the lights on. The lights wouldn't come on. The only light that would come on was in the bathroom. Now, there was nothing wrong with the lights. Mm-hmm. He come running out, and he said that whatever it was crawling out of the shower, and it grabbed his leg. When he was trying to get the door and open the door, I mean, he couldn't. Now, he had locked the door like a dumbass. And he was so scared he couldn't get the lock unlocked. And when he came up, we did notice that one of his pants legs was soaked. It was wet. But he wasn't anywhere near the bathroom. He was at the door. Yeah.
It wasn't, fear on his part where he kind of,
Not from what he said.
he didn't relieve himself.
You know what? I don't remember. I don't know.
Man.
But it wouldn't have been just one leg. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. And of course, the maintenance man, went and all of a sudden when he ran out, the lights came back on. The water shut off. Because the shower was still on. Mhm. People are stupid. So, not long after that, they bricked that room up. I mean, they fixed it so that it looked like it was just a continuation of the wall. You couldn't even tell there was ever a room there. That's what they had to do to keep people out of there.
Did it have a room number? Or?
Yeah, it had a room number. It was up on the 6th floor. It was 612. They just bricked it up. And nobody else went in because it wasn't safe, for anybody to go in there. Those people weren't lying when they talk about, because we would walk in, they were like, why is the shower on? Even when we would do the check, we left the door open. We never closed that door. We left that door open, when there was a patient in there. And you would hear the shower on all the time. We'd go and shut the shower off, go back out, maybe an hour and a half later, shower's on again. And the person, they're up looking like, why is that happening? So we would move them, and, people who aren't actually in, the everyday lives of these people, they don't care. They do not care. To them it's like, well, next week I'm going to tell you a story about somebody who came down from the ivory tower to put somebody out of their room because their insurance, the insurance only pays up to a certain amount, up to a certain time. Then they want to throw you out. But what we were doing is that we didn't discharge them, because we knew that the person was ill. They couldn't go home, even though their insurance refused to pay. We still didn't discharge them. We just let them go, and we knew people, down there in billing. So we told them what was going on, and they were like, well, as long as the higher ups don't come down and see what's going on, there's not going to be a problem. But of course, somebody had to run their mouth, blah blah, yabba dabba doo. But next week I'll tell you what happened to the person who tried to have this person put out and what happened to them. So, so just because somebody dies don't mean they can't strike out at you, because they can. And what they weren't able to do in life, they have abilities now. And they'll come after you with it. If you're mean, or you do what they told you not to do, or they asked you not to do, or you mistreat them. Why you would do that, I don't know. But just because somebody dies, that's not the end of it. Especially if they figure they need to deal with you first before they move on. You got a problem on your hands. Because there's nothing anybody can do to help you. But yeah, that'll be a story about what happened to the clown that, tried to have Miss Millie put out, of her room, and what happened to her. But yep.
Yeah, stay tuned for that. That's another
Yeah.
another Spook Division.
Yeah, Spook Division.
Yeah. So, well, there you go. Hope you enjoyed the next round of stories from my girl Kate with her spooky ghost.
Yeah, with my lantern.
Yeah, and your little witch hat.
Yeah, with the witch hat.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, until the next week's scary, spooky story.
Bye, Sibs.
Adios.
Bye.